It's time for Good Evening America with Otri Bona. Now, live from Charlotte, North Carolina, here's Otri Bona.
Good evening, America with Bona. This is your host, Otri Bona, and thank you for tuning in and for inviting us into your homes and offices. My show, as you know, is featured every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and it lasts through 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Listeners can simply go to www.haramberadio.com and click on Listen Live, which I hope you are doing now. You find this icon in the middle of the page, scroll down, and then click on the left side, and you'll be right there with us, which I hope you are doing now. You can also tell your friends to join us every Tuesday at the same time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Our goal is to inform, educate, and entertain you, and we hope at the end of our show tonight, we would have achieved this goal. Tonight, our show is going to be focused on two things. We're going to deal with two aspects of current events. The first one is going to be, we want to pay a little tribute to our hero, Nelson Mandela, who passed away on Thursday, the 5th of December, 2013 at 2050 South Africa time. I don't really know whether they are GMT or so. I won't add the other adjectives. But according to South Africa president, the death occurred exactly at 2050 their time. And when we finish paying a little tribute, we go back to our soccer discussion. Last 2 weeks and last week we did a soccer discussion. We tried to make some predictions and also to try to see how the groupings were going to be. And tonight, once we have the groupings out, we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about what we anticipate is going to happen, especially on the group of death, which is featuring Ghana, Germany, the United States, and Portugal. So I have very important and wonderful guests with me who are very knowledgeable in both history, current affairs, politics, economics, all that, and as well as sports. So they are going to help me to deliberate on these two important topics. Without much ado, I will turn to them. I have actually a list of people who are supposed to join me tonight, but I don't know if they will all be able to come. But at the moment, I know for sure I have Mr. Stephen Abebrese online. I have Mr. Kwame Boafo also online. So these are the names I'll mention now. I don't know if other people can join me. If they do, that'll be great. I have Mr. CNN, who I hope may join me, will join us also, and hopefully, if time permits, maybe Dr. Kennedy will be here. And I have other people too, like Ochina, Onyechi, and others who may join us to deliberate on these two important issues. But at the moment, I have Mr. Kwame Boafo and Mr. Stephen Abebrese. So I will give them the chance to, for my audience to hear their voice. And once again, they will introduce themselves so that you will recollect them because they've been here on several occasions. But I know this is a radio station and some may be new in tuning in. So I'll give them the honors to just tell us a little bit about themselves, maybe a minute, so that we know where to find them if we have any questions or we want to thank them for the information and the education they're going to give us tonight. So I will turn to Mr. Stephen Abebrese.
Thank you very much, my good friend, Mr. Otri. For the listening audience, many of you acquainted to me, so I would be Veritas. Stephen Abebrese. I live in New Jersey, and I work for the United Nations, but I also belong to two organizations of note. One is Ghana Global Professional Network, which is a nonprofit that allows professionals and intellectuals to have discourse and to transform dialogue into initiatives, both in America and also back in Ghana to transform lives. I also belong to another organization, which is a watchdog organization known as Ghanaians for Accountable Government. And in the same accord, we deliberate issues in the interest of the nation. So I'll turn it over to my colleague now. Thank you very much. I hope we have a fruitful discussion.
You are very welcome, Mr. Abebrese. Happy to have you tonight. Yeah, Mr. Kwame Boafo.
Yes, good evening, happy listeners. My name is Kwame Boafo. I'm currently based in Georgia. I'm a public health expert in special interest in social justice. I get myself involved in a lot of things that affect people from deprived communities. And so I'm very happy and I'm very glad to be here with you tonight to talk about Mandela and World Cup soccer.
Wonderful. So privileged to have you, Mr. Kwame Boafo, once again, as well as Mr. Stephen Abebrese. Thank you for coming tonight. Yes. As we are aware, the Mandela is a Nobel Peace Prize winner for his advocacy of peace and reconciliation, bringing the South Africa together when, in spite of all the difficulties he had to go through, he chose the path of peace and instead of fighting back. And he's known for his peaceful accord and for his transformational character and what he has brought into politics, world politics in general, and also African politics in particular. So as we know, Clinton, I remember, said Mandela is no longer an African or South African. He is a product of the world. So Mandela is one person who we say he is the citizen of the world. If there is anybody like that, I think it's Mandela, because everybody likes Mandela. Even the communists like him, the capitalists like him, the socialists like him. Everybody speaks well of Mandela. And as I rightly said, we are aware that he passed away on December 5th, 2013, at 2050 South Africa time, and that brings him to the age of 95. He did so many things. So I have these wonderful people to help me to talk about him. I will turn to Mr. Abebrese. You have been working with the United Nations, and I believe you've been traveling a lot. I don't know if you have had any encounter with Mr. Nelson Mandela, but I'll give you the chance maybe just to give me just what you make of Nelson Mandela, maybe a little tribute or a little statement, and then Kwame and Mr. CNN is calling in soon. And then from there, we'll continue the discussion. So I will leave you, Mr. Abebrese, to say something about this wonderful man.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Abona. And I have a personal encounter with Mr. Mandela. I've met him on several occasions. And let me clarify, not directly. I've never met the man in person. But it is often said that chiefly through books, one is able to transcend across time and space to engage in intellectual dialogue with others. And I feel that through Mandela's works, through my readings of him, and through policies that are geared towards him, I have had a personal encounter with him. Now, let me just give you a little bit of a history about my development or my gradual grasp of Mandela and what he means to me. I remember when I started school, my father would, formal education, elementary school, my father would put a big badge on my left pocket with a picture of a man, who looked steady and calm, but at the same time worried. And to me at the time, it was symbolic of a broken world. And the symbol or the language just said Free Nelson Mandela. Over time, I came to understand what it meant, and I saw this man transform from a prisoner to a president, to be the first black president in his country, the first black Nobel Prize winner, and the first of many, and also to be a president who stepped down after one term to set an example. All of that was extremely moving to me, and so in fact, I have studied Mandela, and I was fortunate to write a tribute to him when he passed, and I would just give an excerpt of it. And I'm sure we'll get into further discussion that I can talk about the way I want Africans to remember Mandela. But this is my tribute to Mandela, just an excerpt of it. I said, Madiba's aura transcends humanity and reaches the heights of spirituality. He exemplifies boldness in the face of adversity, endurance towards inhumane inflictions, and steadfast vision in the midst of despair. What more can compel a person religiously to the task of improving the human condition than the personification of a man par excellence, now an ancestor? Tata, which is what he's affectionately known as, lived a long life and walked an arduous journey towards freedom. Madiba has completed both. May he be venerated throughout posterity. This is a little excerpt, and I hope we would discuss his influence and his impact on us and as Africans and also on the world. Thank you.
You're warmly welcome. So much for a wonderful job and for that little tribute. That was very wonderful. Mr. Kwame Boafo, I'll turn to you.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Nelson Mandela, Nelson Ruli Hlahla Mandela, Madiba, there's no other like him. Mandela, I have never had a personal encounter with him, but I would say I have a very great influence by this man. His works, his endeavors, his legacies, his policies, his vision, his exuberance is something that I believe transcends the world. It kind of influenced a lot of people. I recall when I first heard the story of South Africa as a young child back in Ghana growing up. It was a very, 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 I was very passionate about the story. Anytime I hear the news, I believe if there was any kind of recruitment for people to go to South Africa to fight for freedom, I believe I would join in, because I couldn't understand, I couldn't bring myself to believe that we still have some form of slavery going on in Africa at that time. And if you consider the effort, the role that Mandela played in bringing back South Africa to its rightful owners and trying to unify the country for everybody to live in harmony with each other, it's very exemplary. I mean, you look at the effort Mandela put in to dismantle the evilous apartheid system in South Africa without violence. I mean, it's understandable that at some point he was frustrated and took to arms, but didn't last long. He thought that peace, dialogue was the best way to solve conflict. And I think Mandela is out of this world, like most of the world leaders have paid tribute to. He is not just a South African, he's a world citizen, because the world is not going to see anybody like him anytime soon. I really doubt that. And so, President Mandela, we thank you for what you have given to humanity. We praise you. We pray that God will keep your soul till we meet again. He has done so well in unifying a country like South Africa, making it a very beautiful, multicolored country, and also he stands for icon of freedom. When you talk about the name of Mandela, you're talking about freedom, you're talking about perseverance, you're talking about not giving up in whatever vision that you set forth for. So I'm very privileged today to talk about Nelson Mandela, and I want to thank God for giving us such a person, and hopefully the world will see somebody closer, because if we have a lot of Mandelas in this world, we will have less wars, less confusion, and less problems all over the world. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That's a very nice tribute of you. That is very kind of you. Thank you so much, Mr. Kwame Boafo. I believe Mr. CNN is online. Mr. C, are you there? He's not here. Okay, that's very wonderful. Yes, as you rightly said, we have not had such a person like Mandela for quite some time. Of course, he's a man of the century. There's no doubt about that. It is acclaimed. Everybody knows he's a man of the century. Because usually when you have people like you have one person, I don't want to belittle the other great guys like Kennedy and all those other icons. But the point is, most of these people are more regional, and some of them are continental, pertaining to one particular continent, because when you take something like, maybe we take somebody like Kennedy, he's a very wonderful leader. We paid tribute to him when he died, and we still do. But when you go to places like South Korea and the communist world, he may not be somebody they will call his name all the time or give him any praises because of interest and all that. But when we look at South Korea President, oh, good to have you, Mr. C. I'll be back. I'll be right with you in a minute. When you look at China, you look at Castro. I mean, look at the sort of stuff that he had to go through, but he endured it to the end. And everybody in the world likes Mandela. Every child, everybody knows about Mandela. So he is the icon of the world, and he's a citizen of the world, as President Clinton rightly said. And there's no other person who we can give the man of the century but Mr. Mandela. And one thing that I want to say about Mandela is about his spirit of forgiveness and the spirit of reconciliation and the spirit of peace, as both gentlemen have talked about. And as you rightly said, he was in prison for 27 years. He was tortured. He did everything. He was deprived of so many other things. But when he was released, and he was given the chance to stand for election, and he won the election. Usually when we look at African history, like Kenya, the Kenyatas, we look at Nkrumah, we look at all them, the first thing they do is to sack or drive all the white people away. But Mandela took a different approach. He rather put them together, and today we have blacks and whites existing side by side, and we know what has happened to South Africa. The economy is very great, the best economy right now in Africa, and it's all due to one person, Mandela. So leadership is very, very key. He's a great leader, a leader who is very selfless. He does not think of himself, but he thinks of the general good. He thought of the general good of South Africa, and because of him, South Africa is now at peace, and they are progressing at a pace which is greater than any other African country. So on that note, I say Mandela has done a very wonderful job, and I will leave it here and let my wonderful guests continue. I know Mr. CNN has been in Johannesburg. He covered the World Cup 2010 in South Africa. I don't know whether he has had any encounter with Mr. Nelson Mandela, but he's here online too, and I would like to have him pay a little bit tribute of this wonderful leader. Mr. C, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Good evening, actually, and good evening to my fellow panelists as well as our great listeners. Yes, it is true. I happen to be covering the World Cup, FIFA World Cup 2010. I had always dreamed of meeting Mr. Mandela. I've had this pleasure of meeting many world leaders, and one of those that I had always wanted to meet was Mr. Mandela. And why? Was because of the history he has. Being a young African, and then you read about an African politician who was put in prison for what he believed. He believed that a black man have the same right as a white man. And he has to go through so many things that he got in prison. And then for 27 years. Now, 27 years you were in prison, you were locked in, meaning that you can't do much. And this man had to deal with this pain, the pain of separation between him and his family, how his freedom was taken away from him. And he dealt with it for 27 years. Now, one thing that I learned from that was, in life, no matter how your enemies will try and put you down, all you have to do is just wait on the Lord. And that's what he did. He waited. And when the right moment came, 27 years, as long as he lived, there was a turnaround. And that turnaround was how he was freed. And when he freed, one would have thought those who really want to put him out, he would come after them. But he didn't do that. Vengeance is the Lord's. And what he did was, he brought, like my brother said, he brought everyone together. He united South Africa. And that was a symbol of hope and inspiration, especially when you think that somebody who went through so much pain. And that is why I wanted to meet him so bad. So when I got to the airport, if you see, I have a picture on Facebook that I've always kept because I knew that one day it will come to useful. This particular picture was the first time I landed in South Africa at the Johannesburg airport. Then I found myself looking at this huge poster, which was the official poster for the South Africa FIFA World Cup. And then I saw this, if you've seen it, I think you might have seen it, Nelson Mandela holding this FIFA trophy. It really struck me that, wow, this would be the only way that I could meet this person. I mean, I'm looking at him right here, so let me take a picture with him. And also, like I always do, I have my 3G sign, which means the God Global Giving, which is the triple G that I always have that I do to take pictures with. And I did that as a respect to the man that I always wanted to meet, and ended there. Who knew that one day, this man, people will be talking about him as we are talking about him today. Nelson Mandela is a great man. Every single individual on this earth, the most powerful entity right now that you see all presidents, majority of the countries, the president are going, they went to pay tribute to him. It's unheard of, I mean, to see former presidents of America, Bill Clinton, you see all these internationally known major celebrities and figures going out to pay tribute to one African, all because he believed in unity, and he believed that Africa, we too, there is hope for us, and that is why we are celebrating him today.
Wonderful, Mr. G. Just for the purpose of those who don't know Mr. G, Mr. CNN is the Chief Executive of 3G, which is God Global Giving. I didn't even know that, but now I get to know. Maybe if time permits, before we close, he can say a little bit about what he does. I want us to move swiftly to the most important part of it, because what we've been saying is the general one that everybody has what they want, an idea of what Mandela is and what he has been to them. Now, let's go to how we can benefit from the life that he led. So I want us to tie, because for the purpose of time, I will just put the two questions together, and each one will give a comment on it, like the influence he has on world politics, and then Africa in particular, and also especially the impact he has had on us today. Mr. Stephen Abebrese.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ochi. And you've rightly put it, as we've talked about the tribute of Nelson Mandela, and that is more general. But I think when it comes to his influence and the impact, I'm rather a little careful, and I'm happy to hear Mr. CNN and Mr. Coranting say some really positive things, such as unity and equality, which is what I want to stress. I think in the Western world, it's become fashionable that leaders like Mandela, like Martin Luther King, are always couched as tolerant and forgiving. And whilst these are all great qualities and peaceful, they are all great qualities, and they also exemplify conditions to fulfill greatness. They are not in and of themselves descriptive of, or it doesn't do complete justice to the individual, and it's also not, it doesn't give us a great takeaway. Now, what do I mean by this? Nelson Mandela is a liberator, and he also is courageous, and he stood for justice. Looking at it from this point of view, when we aspire for this, we are able to understand holistically what is meant, what he encompasses, and also our own struggle. Now, what I mean by tolerance and forgiving, why I think it's negatively couched, is that many times, one can make the argument, such as 100 years ago, we didn't have any regard for the way we fell trees or the way we treat animals. Today, we do have these regards for them, but and it's out of sophistication and out of ethics that have changed. But it never speaks to anything about equality. It still doesn't tell anyone that, animals or trees are equal in essence to human beings. So in the same way, a lot of times when we have this praises of tolerance and forgiveness or these qualities, it almost seems as if we're saying, yes, it's true, there's disparity in races or there's disparity in human achievements, but, one should be tolerant to others, be tolerant of other cultures and all. But I think what Mandela stood for and what so many other leaders stand for and how we should look at it, he wasn't just fighting a fight because he wanted tolerance and forgiveness. In essence, he was fighting because he truly believed that we are equal, as Mr. CNN said. And I think when we approach things as Africans and as people, understanding that all human beings are equal in the eyes of God and that no one is superior or inferior to others, we have that burning desire to seek for it. And after we've sought that, we should apply tolerance and forgiveness to give a balance so that we don't also in turn perpetuate what was done unto us. So that's how I remember Mandela, and I think his greatest influence is really, and why they say he's the most revered man, is that he had the courage at that time to stand up for what is right, to be bold, and to believe that, black South Africans are just as good as white South Africans. And also, to be a liberator, and that has liberated the world, everyone. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Mr. Kwame Boafo, the impact it has had on you and what you think about his influence in the world.
Mandela has, his influence to the world is very immense. I don't think any amount of literature will be able to adequately describe the works of this man. I mean, he stands for hope. He stands for unity. He stands for perseverance. In his own words, he said, a winner is a dreamer who never gave up. And so to the world, Mandela has proven to everybody, every soul on earth, that if you dream about something and you persevere and you support it with all your will, you will be successful in the end. And so that thing is with us in its world. And to me, myself personally, he gives me hope. He gives me, more positivity in the future. When we look at Mandela, another influence to the world is showing to the world the African heart, who the real African is. And considering the people who put Mandela into jail, into prison, They were very, very harsh people. Talking about P. Botha, he was a very ruthless man. If we think, if you look at some of the literature, some of the things that he said about Africans and why he was there, it is very, very observed. But Mandela never gave up. That is the heart of an African, the true spirit of Africa. We have the spirit, the heart to forgive. Considering Africans as being the most abusive people, abusive race on earth, and we still find a way to forgive people. We don't rely on the past and trying to gush our emotions out. We are able to live side by side, people, be friends with other people. Let's consider people like the Israelis, the Holocaust. It's something that is always ringing the minds of people. We're always talking about it, and the Germans and the Nazis and everything, but we hardly talk about Africans and what we have been through in historic times. And it tells you the heart of an African. So the real impact in this world is that Mandela is teaching the world that Africans have the heart to forgive, and that is what he has shown to this world. And so for the sake of time, I'll let my other colleague take on.
Thank you so much. Mr. CNN, that was very powerful.
Yeah, first of all, I'm going to be brief on this one. What else is there to say about Nelson Mandela? I'm glad that today my daughter asked me yesterday, Daddy, who is this old man that we're looking at? And the world is talking about it, him seeing him on TV and all that. And I said, his name is Nelson Mandela. And I asked me, Daddy, who is he? So I had to explain a little bit briefly to her who this man was and what he has done for the entire universe. I'm always touched by an African, like a black man who stood the test of time, somebody who went through adversity, somebody that's willing to say, you know what, no matter whatever you do to me, whether it's based on the color of my skin, it won't deepen my spirit, that whatever you do, I'll stand up and rise and be what I want to be. Nelson Mandela, I quite remember when he came out of jail, he came to the USA. Could you imagine that? Like just Sunday, I watched a clip. I was in New York and I watched a clip on the television and I saw a program that he went to the New York Yankee Stadium and they put on the cap from the New York Yankees, and he said, you know what? Now I'm a Yankee. This is a kind of a man who doesn't look at whether I'm a South African. He came to America. He realized that we are one people. He put the cap when he said, you know what? I'm a Yankee. Already he has become one of them. In this life, we always see that if we had to go through what he went through and how he had to revenge, trust me, there will be war all the time. When I was in South Africa, I went through several areas. You could see there was freedom in the country. The blacks could do what they want to do. They had fun. In fact, I enjoyed myself over there because back in the day, it wasn't like that. Back in the day, you wouldn't see a whole town for black people. You couldn't even walk on the street because you don't know what's going to happen. You watch a lot of movies and documentaries on what happened, but no more. It wasn't happening. So for a black man in South Africa to have this freedom, that to be able to walk, to be able to say, this is our town. I was able to see a lot of Ghanaians. I saw a Ghanaian-owned restaurant. I happened to go through the market. You see Nigerians having fun celebrating. You wouldn't see those many years that you see Africans actually having fun in their own town. So now we have one man who sacrificed for his own people. And Nelson Mandela, we talk about right now. We have African, we have Kofi Annan talking about him. Kofi Annan became what? Obviously the first African United Nations Secretary General. Why? Because he was also impacted by Nelson Mandela, what he had to go through. Everyone compare what Mandela did to Martin Luther King Jr., because this is a black man that he believed that in life, it doesn't matter the color of your skin. We all have a future. And Nelson Mandela proved it. And so I'm so touched now when I do hear what he has done for our country, because I believe we can learn a lot. Kwame Nkrumah did what he did. But you see, in Africa, sometimes you now have this pull him down syndrome. The more you try to go up, your own people will bring you down. And I believe with this Nelson Mandela passing, that people will understand that we are all one people, and that as we try to move up. We shouldn't pull us down, but we have to be together as a one united entity, so that when we move forward, we inspire the world with our unity. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, gentlemen. That was very, very powerful. So, as you rightly said, I hope and I pray that with the impact that Nelson Mandela has had on the world will begin to respect black people. We will not be trodden on, because God has ordained us to be as wise and as powerful as any other person. We have to, build on our character. One thing that I love, or I learned from Nelson Mandela, is the price of sacrifice. And we have to know that there is always a cost to sacrifice. He paid the price. One of the prizes will be that he was even called a terrorist. I just got to know that he was only taken off from the terrorist list on the United States watch by Bush. So, but he stood firm. He stood firm for his convictions, and because he knew that he was doing the right thing. So one thing that I learned is that you have to stand firm to your convictions, no matter what, so long as you are on the right track. And one thing I learned is that it pays to be at peace with yourself, first and foremost, and also to be at peace with others. And also stick to your principles, regardless of what other people are saying. So this will also help us as black people. We need to be encouraged that we can become anything or anyone that we want to be. We don't have to allow any other person to trodden on us, because if Mandela had allowed other people to trodden on him, we wouldn't be talking of him now. And I believe he said the best thing you have to do is not to allow anybody to hold you prisoner. And to be held prisoner is by having squabbles and wars with other people. We have to be with our peace with ourselves and our peace with our God, and then leave everything for it to unfold. We shouldn't just do the things because people want us to be doing what they want us to do, especially for black people. For the sake of time, I cannot go to some of his quotes, but I'll just say two of his quotes, which is very powerful. I got this from Ghana Web. One of those quotes said, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world." That is a quote from Nelson Mandela. So as black people, especially, we need to take care of education. And the second one he said is that, "I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers the fear." So as Nelson Mandela rightly said, we need to conquer our fears, and we have to know that to be courageous does not mean that, there is the absence of fear, but we have to do everything to triumph over it. On that note, I'll say I'll leave this segment here, and we will take a 30 seconds to 1 minute break, and then we come back and continue with our soccer. Thank you so much.
Combined with a knowledge of history and common sense. Good Evening America with Otri Bona continues in just a moment. More of Good Evening America with Otri Bona is coming up on the Harambe Radio Network. Current events, combined with a knowledge of history and common sense. Good Evening America with Otri Bona continues in just a moment. Good Evening America with Otri Bona, live every Tuesday from 8 to 9 Eastern Standard on the Harambe Radio Network. Tell your friends to go to haramberadio.com and listen live. Otri Bona has written on various topics you may be interested in. Visit his website, www.otribona.com, or search for his name on Amazon. Good Evening America with Otri Bona continues in just a moment.
Okay.
Welcome back. Good evening. Welcome back to Good Evening America with Bona. We've been discussing Mandela for the first segment of our discussions. We have paid tribute to Mandela. Now we are moving on to have fun. That is games. Going to the entertainment side. We know that the World Cup grouping is out. Last 2 weeks, we came here to speculate what is likely to be the groupings and what we were anticipating. Now we have the real turnout, and the Group A, we have Group A to G, that is, we have 7 groups, actually 8 groups, A to H. The first group is Group A. We have Brazil playing alongside with Mexico, Croatia, and Cameroon. And then Group B, Spain, Chile, Australia, and the Netherlands. Group C, Colombia, Ivory Coast, Japan, and Greece. Group D, Uruguay, Italy, Costa Rica, and England. Group E, Switzerland, Honduras, Ecuador, and France. Group F, Argentina, Nigeria, Iran, and Bosnia-Herzegovina. And then we have Group G, Germany, Ghana, United States, and Portugal. Group H, Belgium, South Korea, Algeria, and Russia. These are the groupings we have, so we're going to talk about them. Maybe just a minute on all these groups, because I want us to focus our attention on the group of death, which is well acclaimed to be, because all over the world, it's not only us, even the FIFA is saying is a group of world, and all the sports channels and all the sports magazines are saying to pair Germany, Ghana, United States, and Portugal is deadly, because any of these teams have always done great. They are great teams. They are capable of getting far, but now one of them or two of them have to be eliminated, and that is called the group of death. I will leave my wonderful guests who are more knowledgeable than me. Maybe let's use the first, we have about 17 minutes left, or 18 minutes. Let's use the first 5 minutes only to discuss generally all these groups, whatever you make of it. Maybe you can use a minute each to talk about generally whichever one you want to come, and then we will focus our attention on the group of death. So I'll go to Mr. CNN.
First of all, I always say the group Brazil is going to be great in their group. Besides that, I'm hoping that Nigeria will do great, as well as Ivory Coast. Italy will do better, because the last two World Cups they won the 2006. So I will go for Italy. For France, they disgraced themselves the last World Cup. So hopefully there will be a turnaround for France. Who else? As far as I know, the African countries, we're going to do better. This time we're ready, because we have been tried and tested. But I'll reserve all my judgment for the group of death when we discuss it. So let me move on.
Okay, wonderful. Mr. Kwame Boafo, give me a general picture, maybe 30 seconds or 1 minute.
Right, interesting groupings. The most interesting group that I find outside the Ghana group is the England group: Uruguay, Costa Rica, England, and Italy. I can't wait to see Mario Balotelli spar against his former English, players and counterparts in the same league. It's going to be a very, very intriguing group. I like that pairing. And also, people think that a group like Group H or some Belgium, Algeria, or Russia, it looks like a very simple group, but a lot of things can happen in this group. I mean, talents can be exposed. Talking about Belgium, they have Christian Benteke and Romelu Lukaku. These players are on tremendous, excellent goal-scoring forms for their respective clubs. And so I believe that group that people don't really consider as very competitive may come out with some excellent talents.
Wonderful. Thank you for the wonderful summary. Mr. Bebrese.
Yes, let me be very terse, because I think my colleagues have shed light on most of what I would have loved to say, and I completely agree with them. Interesting groupings, and I tip Spain and Italy to come out strong in their group stages, and I also like Group H. But I have to say that I'm quite happy that with the African countries, it seems to me that since Ghana qualified, this is the first time that we've got the strongest, at least the first 3 or first 4 strongest teams going. We have Nigeria, Ivory Coast, Cameroon, and Ghana, and then Algeria. And, in the past, there had been surprises, teams that were not so strong by their record in Africa, but they made it to a World Cup anyway. And so it always seemed as though Ghana was the only lone team to go past the group stages. But this time, I'm very happy to see that it's going to be some of Africa's best featured. And I wouldn't be surprised if they would be somewhere in the semifinals, together. That really give me a sense of pride.
Wonderful, wonderful. And on my part, I think the groupings, when you look at them, Africa is well positioned, with the exception of the Ghana group that looks a little tougher, but Ghana will overcome anyway. Cameroon seems to be in a good shape. Ivory Coast is in a good shape. Algeria, Nigeria, they are all in good shape. And I believe this time you will get at least 2 teams to get advanced to far beyond the knockout stages and get into the real game. On that note, let's come to the real one, that is the group of death. Why do you think it's a group of death? Let me start with Mr. Kwame Boafo.
This is a group of death just because of the history for those teams in the World Cup. Germany is a very great giant in Europe. Talk about Germany and Portugal. Germany has had a good run in the World Cup 2006 and 2010, and they are expected to do great things. I mean, they had a hard luck in Germany 2006 when they hosted it. But the German team is a very strong team. They have young talent. They have energy, and they play a very good soccer. They have a good team. They play teamwork. And also, Portugal, they have some excellent talent like Cristiano Ronaldo, Nani, and Raul Contrario. So the midfield, the defense, and attacking has some quality experience in it. And so if any team that plays Portugal should be careful, because when we recall last World Cup, Portugal in South Africa, they beat North Korea 7-0. And so that's a team that can be ruthless on the attack, especially with Cristiano Ronaldo in the team. And also, Ghana has the excellent history. The first time they went past a group stage, second time we went to the quarterfinals, and so much is expected of that team. They want to move forward. And so you look at all these teams in the group, especially USA. USA also went to the quarterfinals the knockout stage last time. And so you realize that these are teams with higher expectation, and therefore that's the more reason why we classify the group as a group of death.
Thank you so much. Mr. CNN.
Yeah, first of all, my brother said it right. We have 4 top great teams that have been excelling each of these World Cups, the 2006 and then 2010. For the U.S., obviously, we beat them twice, and I'm happy to watch them, and it was interesting. They changed the coaches. Now we have Jürgen Klinsmann, former German international player. Now he's the coach. I don't think he's going to change anything like Terry Venables, former England coach, said. It wouldn't do much for Ghana. Ghana is a formidable team. We have our first Ghanaian coach taking us to the World Cup. They're qualified. Back in the day, they thought Ghanaian wouldn't do it. So we relied on foreign coaches. Now we don't need a foreign coach. We will do our own thing. So the buck stays in our own country. So Kwesi Appiah, Mario Lewis, my friend, will definitely do a big part. We have great players that I've met them. I've been a part of their media partners that we support our players everywhere we go from 2006 to 2010. These guys are Samoa Gyan, Montari, Kevin Prince Boateng, Asian. Experience is the best teacher. These players are internationally exposed. They are well exposed. They have the experience. They have played with a lot of these major international players, big stadiums, so they know how to play with these players. So I'm very, very confident that Ghana will all they have to do is win and draw. They don't need to lose, win and draw. And for Portugal, it's just Ronaldo. What can he do? One player or the other guys, it won't do anything for Ghana. But Germany is a little tricky. But still, like I said, experience is the best teacher. We have quality players. We just have to get our act together and build confidence, and then we can sail through.
Okay, we shall see. Mr. Webrese. Hello, Mr. Webrese. Okay, maybe he's offline. Okay, just like you rightly said, I think USA 2 is Mr. Webrese, sure. Please, what do you think a group of death?
Oh, I think I'm in the position of one Belgian parliamentarian who said, everything I want to say has already been said, but I'll say it all the same because not everyone has said it yet. So I think my colleagues, Mr. Boafo and Mr. CNN, have said it all. I think it's a group of death because of the caliber of players and the reputation of the nations in each team. I like to further emphasize that I think Ghana is a great part of why it's a group of death. And Ghana, in its little experience at the World Cup, has shown its potential beyond measure. And in the last World Cup, we know that by dint of error, we could have even been in the semifinals. Now, we're going with new approach and new confidence, and or renewed confidence. And this discussion, this soccer discussion, really hacks back on something I said in the Mandela segment, which is, having confidence in ourselves and our abilities. As Mr. CNN said, we had relied in the past on foreign coaches, and everyone knows that any achievement of note in Ghana, all our 4 African Cup of Nations were won by an African coach and a Ghanaian coach. So I've long been an advocate of that, and I think what we should do is to give our full-fledged support to the coach. I'm happy that he wasn't X'd out after our African last show at the African Cup, and that he was given a chance, and now he's the first African or Ghanaian coach to send Ghana to the World Cup. I want to further emphasize that we should also allow him the liberty to bench or to include anyone that he deems fit. Because as much as these players have a name and reputation, we don't know what goes on the training grounds. We don't know what goes on in the field. And strategically, we have no idea what it would take. And that's why ultimately a coach is held responsible. So I think if we give him that support to make that judgment, and we have confidence in our players as well, we would make a great showing. Finally, in terms of the teams we're faced with, yes, they are all formidable, but I think that I would want to even say that the team to really look out for and prepare for would be Portugal. We faced USA twice, have beaten them twice, so we have a chip when it comes to them. We have played Germany, and I thought that game Ghana played good soccer, and it could have gone either way. Portugal is the team that has a lot to prove, and it will come with so many unexpected surprises. So I feel that if we're able to win our first game with USA and have a good performance with Germany, we'll be well on our way.
Wonderful, wonderful. Just to let the viewers know, I have a book out there, U.S. Men's National Soccer Team, and I said looking up to 2014 FIFA World Cup. You can get this book at Barnes & Nobles, Amazon, or anywhere in a bookstore. Just call the name of the author, Autry Bona, and you get this book. Well, as I said, USA should not be underrated. And as you said, Ghana has beaten USA twice. That doesn't mean that Ghana should be able to beat them a third time. And as you said, US is now prepared, and they have a very strong, formidable team. So they are also capable of giving surprises. So we know Germany is also in their top form. And one analyst said that Kevin Prince Boateng, Kuja Samoa, Sule Muntari, and Michael Essien is a powerful one, and the attack piece is good. But they said that our defense and our forward is not that great. So that is what they are saying. But anyway, because of time, I can't say much because there's also other important ones that we need to get to. But I will let you guys predict to me what is going to be the final, who is going to the finals. But we cannot go there without adding in this group that we have, the group of death, who is going to go home, who is going to stay. So you have only 1 minute, unfortunately, to do all this in a minute. You are going to predict who is going to finals, with whom and who is going to win, and also you are going to predict the group of death, who is going home and who is staying, and if possible, who is going to be the first, who is going to be the second. Mr. CNN, I'll give you just 1 minute. Hello? Mr. Babrese?
Yes, I predict Ghana would be first in its group stage and also will be in the final. And I predict Germany would be second in its group stage.
Okay, Mr. Kwame Waffle.
Yes, Ghana, Germany going through Ghana, Brazil finals. Quickly on something that is very passionate to me about officiating. You know, officiating can change a game in a split second. So what I'm hoping for is for the officials in Germany to be very consistent. This is what we are witnessing in Manchester United after Ferguson went away. We're not seeing Manchester winning again because of the effect of officiating. I always believe that the Manchester coach had an effect on officiating, and that is what is being manifested today. And so if we have the referees being consistent in the World Cup and not giving any controversial decisions, I think we're going to witness a very, very successful World Cup in Brazil.
Wonderful. Mr. CNN, are you back? Oh, he's offline. Okay. I think USA and Ghana are going to sail through. Ghana on the top, USA second. It's not like a
Hello, can you hear me?
game, but yeah, Mr. C, I'll give you the chance. Please go ahead. What is
Okay,
your
now
prediction of where, dead, and who is going to win the final? Who is going to the finals and who is going to win?
Well, like my man Boafo said, Ghana, Germany, and then I also would tip Italy, and Germany, or Italy, Ghana, either one of them. You know.
Okay.
That's my prediction.
Well, we leaving out Brazil?
Well, listen, this is the World Cup. There will be surprises all the time. Brazil didn't win the last World Cup. So as somebody that has witnessed all these games, we keep giving Brazil the opportunity to win, and then last minute, when they beat Ghana, what happened? They lost. So as much as we tip Brazil, let's not forget there are people that can also pull us surprises. So Brazil can come in, but at the end of the day, I will reserve my judgment on Brazil for now.
I think Ghana and Spain will be in the final. Spain is a team that has been so consistent that it's unbelievable. And so I would tip Spain to meet Ghana in the final.
Wow. I know generally people have tipped Brazil. They are going to stay home and let the cup be taken away from them. But as you said, there could be surprises. And we are living in a world today where, I mean, once the officiating is clean, we know we're going to have results. I believe last week I said maybe Germany and Brazil, but given what is happening now with Germany being paired with Ghana and the United States, I have to drop that and go with my wonderful teams, give them all the support I can. So Ghana, USA going through, and Ghana going further to the finals. I know people will be laughing, but hey, that is good. It's likely to happen.
Well, USA. I mean, they've done well. They've done well to bring in Jurgen Klinsmann. But like I said, the World Cup, things happen, and we are talking about strength. These guys, they have the strength, but we also, the Ghana will pull through. I know that for sure.
Wonderful. So on that note,
I have to pass.
Yeah. On that note, our show is gradually come to an end, and I believe all the African teams are going to do well. Algeria is going to sail through, at least through the knockout stage, they are not going to go home immediately. They will sail through. Ivory Coast will get to the semifinals, and then finals. No, not yet. I mean, they will get out over to the knockout stage. But as you said, I tip Ivory Coast or Ghana basically to go further to the semifinals at least. And Nigeria too is there, but these are the two teams I strongly tip, and I believe they will focus. Once these African teams can focus, and I know they can do miracles. So on that note, we wish them all the best, and we hope that they will make Africa proud once again, just like Ghana did the other time. I want them to go far, far beyond so that we will be respected for the contributions we put in these sports. Thank you so much for your time, and also thank you, host, for giving me an extra 1 minute to conclude. On that note, I say thank you, Mr. CNN, Mr. Kwame Boafo, Mr. Abebrese, and all of you. Very much, guys. Privileged to have you, and thank you so much for the entertainment and the education you've given us tonight. We'll see you back, audience, next week.
All right, have a good evening.
Good evening. God bless you. Okay, bye. Thank you so much. 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 Okay, bye. Thank you so much.